Check, check, quick sound check. Can everybody hear me loud and clear? What is going on, chat? Welcome to At the Buzzer, our market recap. We'll get right into the markets in just a minute. Coach Paul is going to be out today. He should be back tomorrow, but welcome everyone to At the Buzzer. Starting a little early today because we do have some earnings out. Apple and Amazon both reporting their earnings. And let's take a look at the charts here. What is going on, everybody? We see Apple spiking just a little bit here. Let me make sure I get these numbers out. Again, Apple and Amazon both reporting earnings. Yesterday, we had Meta, Google, and Microsoft earnings out. Let me see if we can get these numbers to you. Got them for Amazon. Don't see them for Apple just yet. Let's take a look at Amazon. Amazon off to the races. Closed the session at $223. Trading $245 right now. Earnings per share for Amazon came in at $1.95. Estimates were $1.58. Net sales came in at 180.17 billion. Estimates were 177.82 billion. North America net sales came in at 2 billion more than expected. AWS net sales, AWS, 33.01 billion. Estimates were 32.39 billion. So I wonder how many companies, $30 billion in AWS sales. That outage, I wonder if that cost Amazon anything. Wonder if that they took a hit on that at all, if anything. I know just working in the IT space for years that a lot of times there's some contractual obligations for system availability. And if it, depending on what's in their contract, probably not. They're Amazon, right? So probably not. Courtney, you're probably right. But just curious. Of course, that wouldn't show up here at all. But looking pretty good for Amazon. Favorable reaction. Price-wise, let's see where we are. We saw Google make all-time highs on their earnings yesterday. This is also an all-time high for Amazon now, $245. And if you're wondering why we are covering some of these bigger earnings reports, let's take a look at the NASDAQ weighting. Amazon is the number four heaviest weighted company in the NASDAQ, 7.62%. So as all of these stocks go, right, we have Apple, Amazon, Apple, the number two weighted company, 11.78%. So let's see if we get these Apple numbers out. Not just yet, probably coming up in just a little bit. What's going on, everybody? Was the ES a gap fill or not? We'll take a look at that. We'll take a look. It depends how you measure the gap. Everyone's going to look at it just a little differently. I'm going to say no for me, but we will definitely take a look. But let's see what else we got for these earnings. Operating income, 17.42 billion. Estimate was 19.72. AWS growing at a pace not seen since 2022. Maybe they were at capacity on their servers. Was that the issue? AWS growing at pace not seen since 2022. AWS reaccelerating to 20.2% year over year. I wonder if that has to do, and I'm sure it does, the demand for AI, right? All these new AI companies coming up, needing infrastructure. We saw OpenAI talk about a $250 billion investment from in infrastructure, buying some Microsoft servers, right? $250 billion in Microsoft Azure servers for OpenAI. That's crazy growth. And we'll probably see more with the AI bubble or AI, some people call it a bubble, the AI revolution increasing. NFL data and other sports leagues as well. Yeah, I mean, there's a ton going on, right? So continuing to see strong demand in AI and core infrastructure. Notes from Amazon. Of course, they're going to have their earnings call in a little bit. It looks like it is at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So in just about 50 minutes here. Amazon starting to monopolize the web space. They did the bookstore space. Yeah. I mean, who here, when's the last time, like, put it in the chat, when's the last time you ordered something from Amazon? I know for me, it was 2 days ago, and I got it yesterday. And that type of service and reliability with, just buying things, we're not even talking about just how Amazon runs the internet. They kind of monopolize a bunch of space. 10 minutes ago, right? Think you ordered something from Amazon. They just make it so easy. Your wife every day, right, Ryan? Rhino, yeah. So Amazon doing well. New all-time highs here, and Amazon did trade up to 200 and what was this high here? About 247.78, 247.80. New all-time high in Amazon. Again, we are still waiting for the Apple numbers. Let's take a look here at Apple. Apple seeing a little bit of spike on, it looks like that Amazon print, unless somebody got the numbers early. Let's take a look here. So we could probably zoom this in just a little bit. Wait until you get same day delivery. So I've gotten a couple actually, same day deliveries from Amazon. Uh, in the city, they do a lot of Amazon same day delivery. Get something within 2 hours. Uh, but here we go. Estimates for Apple: $1.78. Revenue estimates: 102.23 billion. We can see over the last, what is this, going back to 2 years now, almost 3 years, there's always a positive surprise for Apple. So let's see if that is the case. Uh, Anywhere on average, it looks like about an average 3% surprise to the upside. Last quarter was a 9% surprise to the upside. So let's see what we do get here. I rarely go to Target anymore, Amazon or Costco for specialty shops. Yeah. Uh, oh, here's some more news here. Netflix announcing a 10-to-1 stock split. 10-to-1 stock split in Netflix. What is Netflix trading at right now? And look at that spike. That news just came out. Netflix up 4% on that. And why are we covering this stuff? Because they are the heavy weighted, the equity markets that we trade are a basket of stocks, right? And Netflix is in there, Apple's in there, Amazon is in there. And we'll take a look. How is the NASDAQ responding to all of this? Back above 26,000s. We were trading in the gap. Go to a 30-minute chart here on the NASDAQ. Actually, the NASDAQ didn't trade into the gap. I had a little bit of work to do, but right back at 26,000s, like nothing ever changed. Take a look at the S&P. The S&P traded into that gap. And I think most people would probably say this gap is not filled because you either measure it on price, and we'll look at this when we get back to Topstep X charts, but I'm waiting for this Apple number to come out. You either measure it by price, which would have been 68.41, or the close, which would have been 68.25. So I would say we traded maybe halfway through that gap and still has a little bit of work to do. But with these positive earnings coming out so far, it looks pretty good. Looking pretty good. Apple about to drop the market. We'll see. We'll see, right? That Meta number yesterday, I should have asked Jack today, was he able to digest it? Because that Meta number was kind of a shock. I think more so it was that one-time tax, which did Apple have to pay that tax as well? I'm curious how that might affect their numbers. But we will see here in just a little bit. And probably expecting this Apple number in about a minute here. Gary, you're the best. I appreciate that. You're all the best. Thank you for joining. While we wait for the Apple earnings, let's introduce the show. Welcome to At the Buzzer, our market recap. We normally don't start this early, but when we have earnings, we definitely need to cover them. I'm Coach Jay. I've been a Topstep performance coach since June of 2023. Normally, I'm here with Coach Paul. Coach Paul is out for the day. He's traveling today, but he should be back with us tomorrow. The goal of this segment is to review what happened in the markets. We may talk about some markets that you have not traded, but we believe our goal as traders is to identify opportunity. We want to see how we can take advantage of those opportunities while managing our risk. Dan, I'm doing good. About halfway the gap filled, right? JM 8690. Hit that like button. I appreciate it all. Yeah, this is the trade I was looking in the S&P. We'll talk about it. I did have a losing day today. I got into a pretty heavy short position last night in the S&P. I was short about, I think, 8 contracts, 8 minis. Got stopped out before the market eventually turned. In hindsight, show you guys why I should have waited because it was a pretty clean trade up at the highs. But got in a little bit early. Got stopped out above the high, and then the market did exactly what we were looking for it to do. But account's still active. I can trade again tomorrow. Suede jacket. No, so this is a denim jacket. It's like a little bomber jacket. Got a little maybe corduroy on the collar. Just bought this one. I can't remember where I got it from though. It's comfortable though. It's comfortable. Uh, it is comfortable. All right, no Apple numbers yet. Let me go back to Top Step X charts here, and as soon as Apple comes out, we will take a look at those. Thursday usually is date night, right? But not tonight. Not tonight. Uh, let's see. Let me hold a couple million. Uh, Dakota is your guy for that. Dakota is your guy for that. All right, let's take a look here. We'll go back to the Top Step X charts, and as soon as those Apple numbers come out, we'll come right back to TradingView. But let me know how you guys did in the chat. Were you up on the day, down on the day? Anything you learned from today? And we will take a look at the Top Step X charts, which we should have up right now. All right, take a look at the news really quick. Dakota's still working on that second date. Take a look at the news. No real planned numbers out today. It looked like the algos were still planning for jobless claims this morning. If you were watching the opening call right around 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, the order books kind of cleared out because we normally get jobless claims. We got some data yesterday. It looked like the algos were expecting something, but we didn't really get anything. So as far as news goes, pretty quiet as far as planned numbers. Of course, we did have that meeting with President Trump and Xi last night into this morning. Sounds like they came to a deal on some things. China buying the U.S. soybeans again. 10% tariff now on Chinese goods, with some deals made. With the fentanyl coming into the country from China, we reduced some tariffs there. So it sounds like we're getting closer to a trade deal, and you would expect that trade deal news sounds good. Market's going to go up, and we made a new all-time high and sold off. So why we say it all the time, we got to trade the markets that are in front of us, because what sounds like good news may not always show up as a great reaction for a day trade. Now, for a longer time frame, could we continue going up? That's what the equity markets do. But what trade did we have today is the question. Let's take a look at the quote board. There are 36 different markets we can trade with Topstep accounts, and today, to the downside, we had wheat futures down 1.5%. HG, what's HG? Is that copper? That is copper. Copper down 3.09%, and micro Bitcoin futures, our biggest percentage mover to the downside, down 3.3%. To the upside, we had silver up 1.68%, soybean meal up 2.01%, and natural gas, our biggest percentage mover to the upside, up 4.53%. To talk about our big four, we had crude oil down 0.38%. The S&P down 0.64%, gold up 0.87%, and the NASDAQ down 0.92%. The S&P and the NASDAQ both made new all-time highs today and ended the day in the red. I'm loving Quantower. Thanks for recommending it. Edgy Invest, I love to hear that. It's a platform that I've been using for a while. I think it's some great features. I love the fact that I could connect my Topstep X account to it as well. So shout out to Quantower. Ticker for micro Bitcoin futures is MBT. MBT, great contract to trade, 50 cents a tick, and probably one of the better, I think, and Coach Paul would agree with this, one of the better trading markets for Topstep accounts, just with the risk management, and Bitcoin moves pretty well. So MBT. Chris, how come I'm not able to trade right now? With Topstep accounts, your trades have to be closed by 4:10 Eastern time, 3:10 Central. So we're after that time. So right now, trades are closed. Pretty thin time in the market. If you had a personal account, you could still trade it. Normally, unless I'm in a great trade, I'm probably not trading my personal account at this point. But Topstep accounts do have to be closed by 4:10 Eastern time. Did I catch the 11 p.m. J trade on a 3-minute time frame, Cody? We'll take a look at that in just a little bit. Apple looks like they're going to report in 10 minutes or so. So let's just take a look at the charts. I'm going to start with the NASDAQ on the daily. And we are seeing a little bit of what kind of looks like a topping pattern. We talked about this during the opening call. And the volume that we've had on this rally up has been lower. Now, volume is always going to be lower on, now I shouldn't say always, but volume is usually going to be lower when the market's moving to the upside because it's just a constant bid up. There's panic when things start to sell off, and you're always going to see volume be higher. Got to stop saying always. You're usually going to stop. You're usually going to see volume higher on sell-off days, and that's kind of what we had today, above average to the downside after making that all-time high. 26,399 is the new all-time high in the Nasdaq, but we did not see any follow-through above there. Still a market that's in an uptrend, still holding this gap for now. You know, bad news could trade us through this gap, but right now the market is still holding up pretty well. Let's take a look at the 30-minute chart. And what do we have here in the Nasdaq? So we opened up last night, a little bit of a gap down. And for slow markets, we kind of we opened up and just a grind higher. There was anticipation of the Trump and Xi meeting. And I think with them even meeting in real time, kind of the idea was, oh yeah, we're probably going to hear some good news out of this. So I'm not surprised to see the markets kind of grind up and make all-time highs. But the one thing I'm watching as we're making all-time highs, and this is where I'm saying I probably should have waited. Well, in hindsight, I clearly should have waited for the S&P trade. When we make an all-time high and there's no volume behind that move, what happens here? We make this all-time high right below a whole number level. If everyone's so convinced about the Nasdaq going higher, we stop 1 point before 26,400 and no one in the world wants to trade it. What happens at that point? The late buyers become sellers, and a really nice sell here. You can see where VWAP was by the time we were making that all-time high. We were 120 points away from VWAP. So price went, and we talked about this before, but price is an advertisement, right? Price went higher, but there wasn't enough heavy buying to sustain this move to the upside, and a really strong rejection. Now, I don't know what the news was, if there was any, that led to this 250-point candle to the downside in a half an hour. But that's some aggressive selling there, right? That is some aggressive selling. And interesting, if we look at that candle, one of the things that we do all the time, marking out the highest volume candle at that point from the day, we held around 50% of it, right? If I anchor a VWAP to this, flat line until we started to see some selling into that New York session. Some great study and review sessions after torching an account. Yeah, I mean, I love when I have to do this. I'm down. Someone had asked how much money I made earlier in the week. I gave back a decent amount of it today. But in review, I get to make better decisions next time. So when I'm looking at my trades, the trade I made in the S&P, I have to sit here and live with the result of the decisions I made. And I would make it again. I wanted to short the S&P, but I was just wrong. But that's why we manage risk, right? Because I need to be able to come back and trade the next day. Meta down 11.3% today. That's pretty crazy. But let's look now at actually, I'm gonna pull this up right here. The white line, 200 moving average on the 30-minute chart, was a target to the downside when we were doing the opening call. If you were watching the opening call, Hogan and I were talking about, okay, if this market does sell off below the Fed candle from yesterday, what's the potential area that it could be trading to? That 200 moving average. And it's kind of exactly what we did, right? So I might seem like I'm kind of breezing through this, but from a technical perspective, the market's doing what we cover all the time here, right? It's, do I have the mental capacity to execute it? I wasn't wrong. I was just early. Yeah, and I paid for being early. So we did look at the daily, a little bit of a topping pattern. We see this doji. It's not a doji, but it's a wick on both sides. Doji would be closing closer to where it opened, but a very indecisive daily candle here, still above 26,000 though. So what I'd be reading for the rest of the week, we only got 1 day left. 1 day left in the week, 1 day left in the month of October, is the market's response to this 200 moving average, right? We are pretty much trading right at it right now. 26.20 is that price. The market's response here is going to tell us a whole lot. If we don't see if we see price trade above it and volume doesn't trade above it for tomorrow's session, similar to what happened at the all-time highs, we see price trade above the all-time high, but volume doesn't go with it. It may be an empty move. If volume does go with it, then great. We found the support. We found where buyers want to continue buying this market, and maybe that is the next leg up to an all-time high. I just feel like where we are here, personally, we are kind of sitting on some weak structure. Um, but that doesn't mean that we can't continue to go higher, right? I do still have to have a setup in order to take a short. Let's take a look now at a shorter time frame. Opening range breakout. Today was a wild day. That first 30-minute candle in from the New York session, let's change this to regular trading hours. This candle is insane, right? And shout out to Doom. Doom caught a great long in the S&P right at the lows of this candle. In the Nasdaq, this 30-minute candle was pretty much closed right where it opened and took the long way, right? 200 points to the downside before finding a level of support right at that 200 moving average. But that was a pretty aggressive sell-off to the downside, bought right back up and then sold off again. Closed the regular trading hour price gap, sort of, and continued to sell off. Any questions on the equities, let me know. We could take a look at the S&P. Yeah, Doom called out a great long there on that sell-off. We tested the gap, right? We tested into the gap. We didn't trade it. So I guess I could kind of see what Doom was looking at there. And we bounced right back up. The S&P weaker than the NASDAQ right now, under that 200 daily moving average. And if we look for the day, we do have volume crossing below it as well, right? For the day so far. That volume kind of sat there. We consolidated for a while. The market had to decide whether or not we were done trading these prices, if we were going to find some support. We didn't find any buyers, so continue to trade to the downside. So we'll see. Tomorrow, I probably, what was the highest volume candle of the day? It was the New York session open. I'm going to frame this out for the opening call as well as that 200 moving average, and we want to see how the market's response to that going into tomorrow. We do still have this gap to fill, and we traded about 50% of it in the S&P. The NASDAQ, we haven't touched it yet. Gaps don't need to get filled, but the closer we get to it, the more you think it acts as a magnet. Tape was beautiful today. I agree. I agree. There was a lot going on, a ton of orders moving around, but there was some fairly clean price action if you were able to take advantage of it. What is your max size in MES, MGC, MNQ? That depends on your account. Like I said, the trade I was in earlier was an 8-lot short in the S&P. It's not the biggest size I've traded in that account, but maybe for that position, I probably could have just been a little bit more patient. If I built into that position instead of putting on more of the risk up front, we'll get to gold in just a second here. Let's see. Did I catch the J trade from last night? Let's take a look. We were talking about, I think, the NASDAQ, Cody. 11 p.m. last night. What time frame? Oh, I think you're probably talking about this. Yeah, this is a great trade. This is a great trade. See if we got any other questions on the equity specifically. Is today's volume relatively high in comparison to previous days over the last 6 months? Apple earnings in just a second here. Let me get back to this question. Where's my trading view? There we go. Let's watch these Apple earnings and we'll get right back to that question. Volume was above the daily average though. So highest volume candle we had all week. Oh, look at that. Knee-jerk reaction to the downside. Apple down about 3.5% right there. Was trading at $273, trading $10 lower right now. That doesn't look great, but let's see what the numbers say. As soon as I get this number, I will let you guys know. Who told you? RJ, were you short? Were you short there? Who has Apple puts? Who took some 0 DTE Apple puts here? Right, and this is just the knee-jerk reaction, thin order book. I'm sure there's not a whole lot of trading going on here. All right, let's see. Starting to get some of these numbers in here. Come on, what is that? Get out of here. 760 plus watching. Hit that like button if you can. Waiting on this Apple number. I don't see it yet, but it should be coming out just soon here. Did Amazon miss? Amazon looked like it did all right. Amazon looks like it beat expectations from what I saw. This Apple reaction looks like a miss for sure. All right, here we go. Apple earnings per share, $1.85. Estimate was $1.77. Revenue was pretty much in line with expectations, 102.47 billion. Estimate was 102.19. iPhone revenue up 6% year over year, 49 billion. Products revenue 73.72. Estimate was 73.49, so slightly beating, it looks like, on everything. Maybe just not as much of a. And we talked about this, right? Let's see. We've had some pretty big surprises, right? The last surprise was 9%. Maybe just and Apple still beat on their earnings. And actually, this is about the same. Difference here. And we see just a knee-jerk reaction, right? Down 1.5%, kind of thin. I'm reading through this number to see if there's anything else that could be kind of a shock here, but it looks like they beat on everything. Greater China revenue, 14.49 billion. Estimate was 16.43. Wonder how much that has to do with the trade war that we're seeing. So that could be it, right? Not great numbers in China right now, but we are getting closer to a trade deal, so maybe that does improve. But everything else looks all right. America's revenue, 44.19 billion. Estimate was 44.45, so a slight miss there as well. We'll see. And of course, earnings calls are going to come out in a little bit, about a half an hour or so. Half an hour or so, we'll get earnings calls, forward guidance, and things like that. They'll talk about how the tariffs or anything else is affecting business and what they look for going into the future. And again, why do we cover these? Because as the major stocks go in the equity indices, the indices are going to go as well. So we can see a reaction to the NASDAQ that got bought right back up again. What can really bring these markets down? They chipped in for the ballroom. I'm curious to see what that tax number was, right? We saw it yesterday. Who was it? Meta's tax that they had to pay. I'm curious what that number is for Apple. All right, but there we go. Apple earnings are out, and earnings calls should start in about a half an hour already. It's already back up, right? Yeah. So we'll really get to see what the market's response is tomorrow as more of the volume gets to come in. Again, Apple is the second heaviest weighted company in the NASDAQ, 11.78%. We check the S&P weighting. S&P weighting, Apple is number 2 in the S&P as well, 6.4%. Amazon is number 4, 4.23%. If you're wondering where I'm getting these from, shout out to slickcharts.com. Just put that link in the chat, and there we go. All right, let's get back to the markets and to Topstep X charts. And again, if you guys have any questions, I'm running a solo show today, so we probably have a little bit more time. So if you got any questions, put them in the chat. Shout out to Coach Hoop sending those over to me. Is today's volume relatively high in comparison to previous days over the last 6 months? Here's a good way to look at it. Put a line on your chart, and over the last 6 months, you could say so. You could say so, right? This is probably in the top 50 of volume candles we had, maybe top 100 volume candles that we've had all year. It's higher than the average. We could say that. Yeah, it's all good, Coach Hoop. I'll try to catch as many as I can. Um, it's higher than the average, uh, but I wouldn't say it's anything major. Gold analysis we're going to get to right now. Actually, just wanted to make sure we cover the equities. Uh, let's get into gold here. Messed up my charts. Got to fix this. It's going to bother me. All right, there we go. All right, let's take a look at gold. Gold on a daily to start. We're starting to kind of find a base. One of the things we've talked about all week, really, we had a prior all-time high, which was up around 35, 95, 60 with rollover, right? We broke above that high on September 2nd. Shout out to Coach Paul and the call of anchoring a VWAP to that candle that broke that high. But we've been holding that VWAP as a support, 39.45 over the last couple of days. So gold does look like it's starting to find a little bit of a base here. Look at the volume over the past couple of days, all below the average. Starting to find a base, but still a wide enough range to trade. We're still talking about, over the last 3 days, gold has not been directional, but we've seen over over $100 moves every day over the past 3 days. Daily ATR is still 111, increasing in this range. So gold probably presenting the most opportunity. Still a really thin market. I would suggest trading it with micros. This is all-time high volatility that we've seen in gold. Again, I'm gonna say that one more time. All-time high volatility. We've never seen gold move as much as it has now. A 1% move in gold, even when we had, we were talking about the 1980s or I think 2009, where we had crazy volatility. Gold is at all-time highs, right? So a 1% move means a lot more than it did then. So it can be a pretty expensive market to trade. So trading the micros might be a good call. On the daily, we are just between kind of right in the middle of the 50 and 20-day moving averages as well. But that VWAP from September 2nd, interesting price to maybe assume some risk for longs. It's been a great spot to buy so far this week. Let's take a look at the 30-minute. Last night's open. If we attach a VWAP to that, again, what's that white line up here? 200 moving average on the 30-minute chart. We didn't see volume trade above it. We did get price to trade above it eventually towards the end of the day. But I'm going to be watching how the market responds to this on the Globex session open. Also, I have a question about Globex session opens. Remind me to ask that towards the end of the show today. But not the most urgent overnight session. If we look at, and we talked about this before, right? If we don't get immediate urgency, VWAP leaving that range in the first 2 or 3 30-minute candles, I'm probably going to look at the Shanghai session, which turned out to be a decent short. I think I did take this short with Dakota on slow markets last night. We did get in short, but kind of back and forth price action in gold, which is great, right? We're in a range-bound market. That's exactly what we're going to expect to see. You could go long, you could go short, you can make or lose money on both sides in a market that is in balance, but in a pretty wide range. This is the first time in 2 weeks, though, that we've tested that 200 moving average. Every time since we crossed under it, we've been rejecting, not even testing it, right? We come up close to it and reject it. First time in 2 weeks that we've tested it. See it starting to flatten out a little bit. My question is, does this move sustain? So far, volume for the day did not trade above it. On the first test of it, volume is still not above it. So I want to see if this is the bottom in gold. I want to see volume trading above this as well, right? Price is just an advertisement. I want to see volume trading above. That gives me a lot more confidence. And then if that volume does trade above, we might be talking about all-time highs again in gold pretty soon. But need to see this VWAP get above here. and sustain above it. All right. Man, I didn't realize how much talking there was when it's only you. Can't even throw it over to Coach Paul for some questions. Uh, let's see here. Apple is flying now. Yep, Apple right back up to where it started, right back up to where it closed, trading 274 again, $274. Uh, so it looks like a whole lot to do about nothing. Uh, Brad Sims, I think you did say that, right? It was coming right back. Uh, Got a question here from Social Different. Just a question. I was at 23.50 today on my eval. I took a trade, was up $400, but didn't hit my take profit. I got stopped out because of market close. Now my question is, can I still pass the eval? Yeah, you can. If the auto liquidator stopped you out, you should still be able to trade. Nice job on the evaluation on your combine today. But yeah, you should still be able to trade. Just be aware of that, right? You don't want to have to rely on the auto liquidator because if something goes wrong and it doesn't get you out of your trade, right? But you should still be fine. You should still be fine. Nice job there. All right. Any questions on gold? Any questions on gold? I saw silver. Somebody mentioned silver as well. Looking very similar in silver to gold. We had a little bit of a sell off, starting to find some basing around here. 20 and 50 moving average. We're just trading between the two. 20 moving average is the high of this consolidation. So if we start to see some volume trade above $49, which is that 20 moving average, then maybe we go back to making all-time highs in silver as well. We did get about a 15% pullback from the all-time high. Is this just a relief bounce or not? How do you use bookmap and footprint data? I don't, Jamal. I don't use bookmap at all. I could show you my quant tower charts. We'll pull those up in just a second. But the data that you're getting from it, it's reading the order flow, right? So what you're looking at is what are the orders that are on the book and how does the market respond to them when they trade? Personally, I just don't like what bookmap looks like. So I look at it a little bit differently with the quant tower platform. But if you read a depth of market and time and sales, that's what bookmap is giving to you. Sometimes people think, oh, bookmap is going to make me a profitable trader, but it's the information that you determine from what you're getting from bookmap, right? So if you understand how to read order flow, then bookmap can be a great tool for you to use, right? But bookmap alone, it's going to take time to study it, right? It's going to take time to study it to understand what the information is and what patterns you see. If you are interested in being an order flow trader, there are a bunch of courses out there. There's that 2-hour volume class that I did on the Topstep YouTube page. You can read that, but I think learning how to read volume and the way it moves is important. Right? The tool is going to help you understand the information that you already see. Uh, Bookmap is a waste of time. It depends, right? Some people think candlestick patterns are, a waste of time. But it really depends on how you view the markets. I do use Quant Hour. I can show you, but let me make sure we get through all the markets first, and then we'll do a little Quant Hour session here. How do you get the volume bars at the bottom of your chart? Good question. Volume indicator. Add the volume indicator. I think as a default, it shows up as a line. Just change that line to columns. And then I have the moving average selected as well, so it's red there. The volume class is on YouTube. If someone has that link, actually, you guys can't post links in the chat. I'll try to get it. Give me a minute with that. We got some time here. We got a half an hour left. Let's make sure we get through all the markets first, though. Crude oil, this is going to be a quick one. Range bound. We came up, checked the 20-day moving average, rejected off of it. Crude was a decent trade today, though. Shout out to Coach Paul, who's been trading it a lot. He says, hey, everyone's trashing Crude, but it's been giving him some pretty good trades. I have not traded it, but crude oil has been quietly presenting some decent trades. Let's take a look at the opening range trade. We didn't take it today in the house account. We poll the chat every morning. Crude oil opens up at 9 a.m. Eastern time, 8 a.m. Central time. And we polled the chat. Chat said take a 5-minute opening range trade. If we took that trade and it just didn't happen in the time frame, right? It happened 45 minutes after or almost an hour after the open. JD, who takes that trade in the house account, has other stuff he has to work on. But this trade was valid and a pretty good trade for the day. Now, what we've been waiting for is a candle close outside of the range and then risk goes on the other side. Let's just see if this played out for a 2-to-1. So here's our candle close. Risk goes on the other side of the range. Can you get a 2-to-1 trade in crude oil today based on a system that, is pretty simple? Let the range establish, trade outside that range in either direction, 2-to-1 trade. Now, it's not exciting. We're probably not going to see a bunch of people trading on TopstepTV, and it took 3 hours to get to this trade. But it was a valid trade, right? In a pretty tight market. So, nice trade there in crude quietly. And it did it yesterday as well. Here's yesterday's opening range trade. So these are, again, everyone wants to, when we pull up crude, and I'm guilty of it myself, we say, hey, you know what? There's nothing interesting going on in that market. Here's the candle close. Risk goes on the other side. This one, this close was a lot higher. Do we get a 2-to-1? You still did. Right? So it doesn't get everyone's attention. And sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes that is a good thing. Let me just take a drink real quick because I'm doing a lot of talking today. All right. So there we have it on crude. All right, let's get to question. CL is right where it wants to be. Yeah, I mean, and as a range trader, you might welcome this, right? If the market is going to define a range, you're supposed to trade the ranges until it breaks, right? So that will do it. Crude, why the 9 a.m. opening range and not 8:20? So 8:20 is the pit open for gold, right? For the metals. 9 a.m. Eastern time is the pit open for crude oil, right? And if you just look at the charts in crude, let's mark out all the 9 a.m. candles. Here's one. Here's yesterday. See that at 9 a.m. every day, there's a spike in volume. Now, what Coach Paul and I like to say is that the open is really when the volume starts trading, but that's why we're looking at 9 a.m. All right. What does the moving average stand for on volume? It's the average of the last however many volume candles. So for me, that moving average is set to 20. It's the average of the last 20 volume candles. And the way I'm reading that is when I start getting a trending move, I want to see consistency above the average. If volume starts to trade below that average, look at what price does. And we could look at this in a bunch of different markets. Volume trading above the average, price is moving fluidly. When volume starts to trade below that average, price starts to chop. Same thing here in the NASDAQ, price above the average, fluid price action, right? These moves happen pretty quick. Volume below the average, chop, kind of indecision. All right. All right. Any other markets we want to discuss before we get into all of the questions? I think the major markets that we discuss have been presenting decent enough opportunities. Micro Bitcoin is an interesting watch right here at this 200-day moving average. That's probably one that if Coach Paul was here, he would put on his scouting report. Watch what Micro Bitcoin does off this 200 moving average here. But this could be pretty interesting. Yeah, Coach Hoop, Micro Bitcoin may be in trouble, right? If we see some volume trading below here, we could go take out this low, trade 100,000 here, which we haven't done in a little while, right? We haven't traded 100,000 in Micro Bitcoin in a while. This is probably some rollover stuff, but it's been since May. Can we connect Quantower to Topstep? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. It's on the Topstep website. It'll show you how to do it, but you definitely can. This link indicator is linking your charts to your DOM. So I have this depth of market here. This is set to white. My link is set to white. So when I change the charts, it changes this as well. And the indicator at the bottom, oh man, I should have never said this was question time. We're getting a lot of questions. All good questions though. The indicator on the bottom is the ATR, average true range. It's the average measurement of the market on the time frame that you're looking at. So if I switch this, you can see right now for crude oil, I'm on a daily chart. The daily ATR is $1.66. If I change it to a 5-minute chart, that average is 12 cents. So on average, each 5-minute candle is 12 cents. On average, each daily candle is $1.66. All right. Would you say that volume is one of the most important key elements in trading? If you ask me, Christopher, yes. I would say the most important key element in trading is risk management. I don't care if you trade volume, you trade moving averages, you trade naked charts, you trade ICT strategies, you trade moon cycles, whatever it is. Risk management is most important. But for me, the reason I read volume is because every time I place a trade, there's volume there. So there's intentions behind any trade that I place. And anytime somebody trades 1,000 contracts, there's intentions behind that, right? So, in simple terms, volume moves the market, in my opinion. So I would say volume is important. Do you need it to trade? You don't. I trade with Dakota all the time. He started to look at it, and I started to look at some of the patterns he sees because you trade with somebody long enough, you start to learn some things. But if you ask him, he would say no. So it really depends. But I'm a volume trader, so you ask me anything, volume is going to be the answer for the most part. Link to the volume class. Yeah, let me see. Is that it, Coach Hoop? Thank you. Coach Hoop just put it in the. Actually, nope, that's not it. Let me find the other one. 1 second here. I bookmarked it before, but I don't have it now. It's somewhere. I'll get it for you guys. I'll get it for you guys. Just bear with me just a minute here. Any other markets we want to discuss? Any other markets we want to discuss, or we could end it a little bit early. Up to you all. I do have a question. Would you guys be interested? And we're not going to do a poll. We could just do a 1 in the chat, a 2 in the chat. In moving or in a segment that runs at the market open. So 6 p.m. Eastern time, as the markets reopen, we do a little bit of a recap and then go right into trading. Put a 1 in the chat if you would be interested in that, a 2 in the chat if you like this time for at the buzzer. We could definitely look at platinum. But a lot of ones. And if there is a 1, and I could probably think of why people want to see that, because the markets are open, right? And we can talk live markets. Shit, these are all ones. Stock Wisdom Weekly. The 1, 2 I see in the chat. I like it. Can we do both? I mean, both is definitely a possibility, and both is probably a reality at some point. But we're just thinking through some things, trying to provide the best content as possible to the most people that we can. And we know that live market price action is always interesting to talk about, right? What we do here at the buzzer, I love because the markets are closed, and we get to just review without any pressure of, hey, this market's moving, because we want to talk strategy. So we'll probably do a combination of both, but just want to get a gauge from the chat on, and I'll definitely go back and read through this chat afterwards. So if you guys have, what you can do for me is, if you would like this session to be moved, or not this session to be moved, but a session to run during that time, put Y. And I can't read them all now, but I'll go back and read the chat afterwards, and I'll read through the responses. Again, we're just taking data to see, again, how we can continue to provide value here. So Chauncey, that's kind of the idea. All right. I think we did it. I don't. Oh, platinum. Somebody asked about platinum. Platinum on a daily, very similar to gold here, right? Sitting between the 20 and 50-day moving averages. Decent ranges to trade. I would be watching, but we're in a range here, right? I would be watching the market's response to this 20-day moving average, 1633. Uh, September 2nd was that breakout day in gold, right? Platinum broke out a little bit later. And we're rejecting at VWAP from there. I would watch platinum at 1620, 1630. It's been a decent spot. And again, anything we say here is for educational purposes only, not a suggestion to take a trade. Shout out to Coach Hoop posting that risk disclosure early on. But we've been rejecting price up here for a while. Platinum is trading inside of this high volume candle on the daily. So I would watch maybe for potential shorts, or if the market wants to break out of this range, then we're talking about all-time highs again. Look at natural gas. All right, Coach Hoop. Biggest percentage mover to the upside today, up almost, and it's continuing to make highs. We are coming into winter, and maybe a little bit of a seasonality trade in natural gas. This is an interesting one for sure. Keep an eye on natural gas. All December and January last year, I traded natural gas, and it was one of the best trades of any of the markets because ton of volatility presented great opportunity, and it may have found a low here. Still got some work to do to say that, but back above the 200 moving average. Look what happens when we cross that 200 moving average, ton of volume, and off to the races. Keep an eye on this one. We did look at Bitcoin. If you want to rewind about 10 minutes or so. All right. I think we did it, guys. I think we did it. There was a question about Quantower, so let me pull that up really quick, and then we'll go ahead and get out of here. I just remembered also we started early because we had those earnings, so maybe we get out a little bit early. But let me pull up my Quantower chart really quick. We'll take a look at this. Again, you can connect some of what you see on my Quantower chart, just like if somebody's pulling up Bookmap, there is a cost to use some of these features. So do just be aware of that. Some of the volume analysis stuff that I use there is a cost to it. I paid for a lifetime membership for Quantower because I use it all the time. But I'll bring up my chart, kind of show you guys what I have as a setup. All right, so this is the screen that I'm looking at most of the time when I'm trading. We were talking about Bookmap before. Quantower has what's called a level 2 indicator. So everything that's on the depth of market, it just shows up here. I have it filtered. So anything that's purple is 100 contracts to 500 contracts. Anything that shows up red is 500 plus. Anything yellow is 100 to 50. And anything white is 50. And basically all I'm looking at is how the market responds to some of this stuff. There's delta indicators on here. A lot of the stuff we are getting in Topstep X, it's on the roadmap, especially the delta indicator. A lot of people are asking for that. So it's on the roadmap. I can't give you a timeline for it, but you can connect your Topstep X account to the Quantower platform. But it's a pretty good one. Again, I execute most of my trades on here, if not on Topstep X. But Topstep X is still a baby, really, which is crazy to say. MP was on the other day. He was like, we're still on version 1. So there's a lot more coming. There's a lot more coming. All right. But that is the Quantower platform. Let me get the link. How much is Quantower? I paid a lifetime membership. I can't remember how much I paid for it. I think it was about $1,500. But I've been using it for so long that I was paying for it monthly. And I said, hey, you know what? They have a discount if I just pay for it. So there is that. Give me 1 second. I'm going to find the link to that volume class, and then we'll go ahead and get out of here. Thank you, everyone, for joining. If you haven't done so already, hit the thumbs up button. We appreciate you joining each and every day. Let me find the link to this class. There it is. All right, link is in the chat. Link is in the chat to that 2-hour volume class. It's one of the ones we did with the 150K subscriber thing. If you have any questions, let me know on it. I'll try to answer as much as possible. Again, trade well, everybody, manage your risk. And I think we did it. Let me make sure we got to all the questions. I think we did. All right. Coach Hoop is having a class in Discord at 6 p.m. Eastern time. And after that, Coach Rain, Coach Vince, 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. Dakota with slow markets tonight. Barron's going to be joining him. That's at 8:30 Eastern. Then we have Aaron for the London Open, 1:30 Eastern time, and no Euro trade with D because tomorrow is Friday. Trade well, everybody. Manage your risk, and we will see you all tomorrow. Have a good one.